Yo, what's good? What's up? Welcome into the show. This is Philadelphia Eagles Now. I'm Chase Sr. As always, thank you so much for watching today's show and supporting us here on the channel. Coming up, going to open up the floor, answer your questions, and feature your hot takes right here on the program. First, make sure you hit that sub button so that you can be a part of our shows because we love to involve all of you as a listener, viewer, and subscriber, but also you become a more informed Eagles fan because we give you entertaining, insightful, informative Eagles videos every single day right here on Eagles Now. Let's start off with Alex Irvine, and we begin with him asking this. How are we feeling about Jalen Hurts and his struggles in the early part of the offseason? What happens if it continues in training camp? I feel as though Jalen Hurts gets unnecessary slander. People seem to realize that Jalen Hurts in 2022 was a terrific player. Great against the blitz, great on third downs, really good as a runner, had touch accuracy, precision, excellent long ball thrower. The fact that he finished runner-up in MVP voting, you can't scoff at that or deny it. He was behind Patrick Mahomes. Led the Eagles to the number 1 seed. When he was hurt, Eagles clearly not the same team that they were with him. There was a huge drop-off between Jalen Hurts and Gardner Minshew, who's been a successful spot starter and backup in this league, and you could just tell it wasn't even close. And then in the Super Bowl with the hurt shoulder, Jalen Hurts has a passer rating against the Chiefs' defense, which last year, best defense in the NFL behind the Baltimore Ravens, had a passer rating of 103.4, with 304 yards passing, 1 passing touchdown, and 3 rushing touchdowns. He combined for nearly 400 all-purpose yards and 4 touchdowns, and people act as though he stinks. Last year in November, Jalen Hurts was the odds-on favorite to win NFL MVP after that heroic comeback at home in the Kelly Greens against the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, in which he put the team on his back and led the Eagles to victory with that walk-off touchdown. After that, the offense plummeted, and there were signs that had you worried about the offense plummeting, right? But as late as November, he's the odds-on favorite to win NFL MVP, has a tough go at the end of the year, and people want to act as though he's a glorified running back. That's what I've seen in my mentions. It's crazy. Good leader, cares about his teammates, cares about the city, very stoic. So now in spring, he's struggling. He's throwing some picks during OTAs and minicamp. And here come the detractors once again, claiming that Jalen Hurts is garbage. He's trying to learn a new offensive system. If there's a time to be confused, to try to force balls in that maybe you wouldn't make those throws during the game, it's during OTAs and minicamp. Let's see how he performs in training camp, preseason, joint practices against other teams when he has more time to master this offense. Not hitting the panic button yet. Alex Irvine, thank you for that. Carol Hosey. Talking about trades, what moves do you see us making? As far as a trade goes, we'll see if Philadelphia is active in that market. I think if Philadelphia were to make a trade, it would come as we approach the 53-man roster cutdown day, or after that, when the Eagles see who's cut, who's not, which players are available, who could get playing time, who could force their way out, who's still unhappy with their contract, who didn't get a contract, and that's when Howie Roseman could pounce. So as far as the trade targets go, you look at those types of situations. As for the position, wide receiver 3, backup running back, safety, maybe an edge rusher or defensive tackle. At basically every other position, I think you're in a really good spot. As far as free agency, everybody knows who I would sign in free agency to make the safety room better, deeper, and to make your defense better as a collective unit. That's Justin Simmons. We'll see if Howie pulls the trigger. Tanner Plummer, he knows ball. Do you think Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean get redshirted? Redshirted would mean they don't play at all, and maybe they play minimal snaps. I think it's pretty telling that during minicamp and OTAs, Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, during some of those practices, at times were getting first-team reps. Mitchell on the outside, DeJean out of the slot. Both players showed off ball skills, instincts. They looked to be really good athletes. They made plays on the football consistently, and they turned heads. Remember when Jalen Reagor got drafted in the first round? People were like, uh-oh, he's not really doing anything yet. And I think to what Colin Cowherd says a lot when he talks to NFL players, and NFL players have told him this, and they've talked about it with Cowherd on his show. Sometimes you can tell after a practice or two if a player can play or not. And so far, there have been great reviews for Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Quinion Mitchell has been a pass breakup machine the last 2 years. Cooper DeJean had 7 interceptions at Iowa, 3 went back for touchdowns. And he's an exceptional athlete. Both are speedsters. Both are passing the test physically. So I think they could actually play in year one. I would not rule out Mitchell starting opposite of Darius Slay as a rookie. I would not rule out Cooper DeJean starting at nickel corner because they could be your best options. Now, Mitchell will have to beat out Keely Ringo, Isaiah Rodgers, hopefully not James Bradbury. DeJean's competing with Devontae Maddox and Tyler Hall. That's it. Lion Fighter, what kind of start would the Eagles have to have for Nick Sirianni to get fired? My goodness. I hope that doesn't happen because that would be a disaster for a team that is extremely talented and unquestionably one of the better rosters in the NFL. I think the Eagles would have to start off 0-4, 1-6. Even if you're 0-4, that might be a little bit too early. Who are you going to call? Bill Belichick? You going to promote Kellen Moore to head coach? That would probably be the best option in-house because I'm not going with Vic Fangio as the head coach to take over for Nick Sirianni as the interim. So it would take a bad, awful start in which both the offense and the defense are terrible. The locker room issues and awkwardness continues. A sideline spat for Sirianni in which he flips out and looks bad, in which Big Dom can't contain him. I hope it doesn't happen. I want a great season for Philadelphia. Also makes hosting the show a lot more fun as compared to them being bad. Millie315, does Tanner Mekhi make the roster with the new third quarterback emergency game day elevation rule? I think he does. By the way, some people have mentioned Will Grier. Chase, you're not talking about Will Grier. He did not take a single snap during mandatory minicamp. All right, so the 3 quarterbacks who make this team, they're going to be Jalen Hurts, Kenny Pickett, Tanner Mekhi. Tanner Mekhi was really impressive during the preseason last year. Throwing with touch and timing to the sideline, that's a difficult throw. Moves around pretty well for his size. He's really tall. I like the anticipation that he has to his game. And with the third QB emergency game day elevation rule, it gives you flexibility, but I think the Eagles want to continue to develop Tanner Mekhi, and they see him as a legitimate quarterback who maybe down the road can be a high-level backup or a starter. Not a high-level starter, but if he needs to start from time to time, he can step in for an injured Jalen Hurts. Elijah, what's the chance that Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown get over 3K yards combined? So on average, 1,500 yards each. I mean, A.J. Brown the last 2 years has had 1,500, and Devontae Smith has eclipsed 1,000 yards. They've still been, a couple hundred yards away from that number. That's pretty hard to do because Dallas Goedert is going to be a part of the pass game in Kellen Moore's offense. I think Saquon Barkley is going to be a big part of the pass game too. That naturally takes catches away from either Smith or Brown. So I'd say the chances are low of 3K combined. Jason Russell, do you think Kellen Moore is going to draw up plays to maximize Hurts' skills, or is he going to make him more of a pocket passer like Prescott and Herbert? Herbert's never really been much of a runner. Dak Prescott, Kellen Moore would call RPOs and quarterback keepers for him often. Now, unfortunately, Prescott suffered that gruesome ankle injury when Kellen Moore was the OC, and then Dallas kind of got gun-shy about calling plays for Dak Prescott on the ground, and that's always the risk for a quarterback, right? I think for Hurts, the fact that he has such a strong lower frame allows him to carry tacklers, break tackles, and be somewhat durable. Hopefully Hurts, though, is able to regain some of that speed that we saw 2 years ago, because last year he looked a little bit slow. But there's a misconception that Kellen Moore doesn't like to run the football. Ezekiel Elliott had huge years under Kellen Moore. Dak Prescott was excellent. Justin Herbert's never really been much of a runner. I don't want to see him running because that dude has top 3 arm talent in the NFL. I mean, he's right up there with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Alex Irvine, $10 super chat, over under C.J. Gardner-Johnson interceptions this year. So C.J. Gardner-Johnson played 12 games for the Eagles in 2022, tied for the league high in picks alongside Justin Simmons with 6. And then last year played 2 games and had a pick. So C.J. Gardner-Johnson in his last 15 games has 7 interceptions. It's basically 1 every other game. I think 6 is a good number, 5.5 if you want to go with the true betting line there. Over under for him, you hope that he can play the full season. Paul, $50 super chat. He sent in 2, so we'll round out the mailbag with his 2 huge super chats. Everybody congratulate Paul. He's getting married on Saturday this weekend. Hope it goes well, man. I know the old lady, absolutely beautiful, elated. You're going to have just a great future together. And I hope that both of you together live a long, happy, healthy, prosperous, peaceful, loving life. And thanks for the $50 super chat. I am doing a beer boot once we wrap up this mailbag for our live show. And then Paul again. I said, if you send in another 50, I'm doing that beer boot. He said, screw it. He sent it in. E-A-G-L-E-S. Paul. Subscribe to the channel so you can be a part of the mailbag as well. Always enjoy chopping it up with all of our viewers, subscribers, and real ones. And if you're still watching, give me a real one right now.